Hey guys, how are ya? It's Max Powers. It's been a while. I hope you guys are doing well. I don't even know if I'm in the shot because I can't see. I can't see the camera. I have a couple sticks in my hand. I had a conversation this morning. Well, let me back up a bit. I've been away. I went up and down the East Coast, going all kinds of state, national forests. I didn't really take much video. It was a little side trip down to Trail to Bigfoot's Bigfoot round table. My glasses are steaming up for some reason here. Here we go. Turkeys are moving in on me over there. Anyway, there's been a movement lately in the Bigfoot world. It's a bit of a division. I can't believe it either. When people go on to certain Facebook groups, and there are actually several groups, so I'm not singling any one of them out. When they bring up structures, it's almost like it's part of the woo now. And that's fine. I'm okay with the woo, and I'm okay with structures. The thing is that people are jumping on others, and really, really adamant about, we've never seen them do this, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Fact of the matter is, if you talk to witnesses, if you talk to people out in the field looking for these things, you will find an awful lot of them bring up structures. I've mentioned them here. There's a ton of them out in these woods. In fact, when I was getting these branches, I bumped into a tiny little asterisk in a set of bushes. I didn't film it because, as you can tell, I think the sun is about to set, and down in the swamp area down there, it's very dark. So, I want to say, first of all, if you're offended by any of these Facebook groups, these YouTube channels who are anti-woo, anti-structure, you're welcome here. Here's my thoughts on it. I don't care what you believe in, okay? I don't care if you're a strict aper or if you're, on Michael Merchant's psychic pony woo train. I don't care which side you're on, because in the eyes of the rest of the world, we're all a bunch of wackos out looking for Bigfoot. Not much we can do about that, other than unify, right? We have one thing in common, and that's the fact that we all believe that somewhere out in these woods, there's a large, hairy, bipedal hominoid, whatever you want to call it. It's out there, and we know it. Some of us know it, some of us believe it, and some of us are just trying to figure it out. But that's a unifying factor. It should not be a dividing factor. Okay. That being said, I have some friends overseas, and I'm going to mention their channels right now if you want to know what I'm talking about. One of them is GBE. I'm sure if we haven't watched his channel, we've seen his comments. He's just a gracious individual. Does an awful lot of research out in the field. He's a boots on the ground kind of guy, and he just presents what he finds. Deborah Flello, Southwest France. She and I believe her boyfriend, maybe husband, go out in the woods looking. And they do an amazing job of describing what it is they're finding. And they're pretty thorough. They look to see, is this natural, is it not? And then Annie Kay goes for walks in the woods, and she started finding these things. And the amount that she finds is staggering, and the complexity of the structures is staggering. So if you haven't watched these channels, please look them up, go watch these channels, make an informed decision. If you don't believe in structures, watch these channels. Look at the similarities to the ones we're finding here. Look at the similarities to what they're finding miles apart. Hiker Dave did an awesome video, like a few weeks back, where he did a little role play of hoaxers having a meeting about just how they're going to stage this, where they're all over the world. You do this, it's Hiker Dave acting, and it was awesome. So Hiker Dave, thank you for that video. I laughed my butt off, but it was a good video, and it makes a great point. And the fact that these people in Europe are so spread out and finding the same things. Like the video today with Annie K, she found a tree that had kind of been wrapped around another tree and tucked into one, which doesn't sound like much until you travel, I don't know how many miles it is between Germany and where GPE hunts in England. 1,000, maybe? I don't know. But a video of his not too long ago, he finds something, and I don't know if they realize this, but it's incredibly similar. That says something right there. If you look at it, I don't believe it's bushcraft. I don't believe it would be people doing it, because why would they do that? And why would they do it? The same thing. Like, let's say one guy says, oh, I'm going to bend this tree. Right? Is there, does he have a counterpart, like across the world, that gets the same thought? I don't think so. Is there a reason for people to do it? No. Is there a reason that Bigfoot does it? I don't know. We don't know. But it certainly is interesting. Is it something that wind could have done? No. This tree's bent 90 degrees around another tree and tucked into another tree. This is not something that happens naturally in nature. Wind is not going to do that. So if you haven't seen their channels, look them up. It's good stuff. Now listen, when we bring up structures, yes, there's this big bushcraft thing going on right now in the world. Wild camping, I don't care what you call it. It's out there. And yeah, I'm going to say a lot of these structures are probably bushcraft. But we can figure it out by going to bushcraft sites, seeing what these bushcrafters do, and I would have to say, eliminate Bigfoot structures that look like that. That would include the teepee. Where is the teepee from here? It's just over that way. Probably about 2 clicks that way. I gotta eliminate them. I don't care if it was man-made. If Bigfoot took it over, which is a video that I suggested, I'll probably put a little button for that at the end. But I can't use it. I can't use it as evidence because it's too close to every other, what are we calling it? Bushcrafter structure that's out there. So I'm going to get on to a conversation that I had. Not really a conversation. I left a message on a video. But I think I'm talking to these people. So my voice is a little weak today, so bear with me. Structures in the woods, how do we know whether or not they are Bigfoot? I've mentioned before on this channel, I've mentioned it in a lot of chats, I have mentioned it in streams on these Facebook groups and whatnot, that one day I brought an arborist out to the woods with me. It was back, I don't know the title of the video, I'll list it down in the description, but it was about fence posts, things I call fence posts. Fence posts are these mysterious trees that are broken at about it's really about 6.5 to 8 feet, so taller than I am, and they're just snapped clean, like straight across. But when you look at the break, you can tell that it is not your typical break. It's not a break from storm damage. They're interesting. So I was mentioning this at a cocktail party I was at. I think it was a Patriots football game. We were watching it, and that's not really a cocktail party. That's more of a slugfest. But anyway, chugfest. Excuse me. Anyway, one of the gentlemen there was an arborist. And he said, he was asking me where I found these, to describe the brakes. And it turns out the next day that he was right up the street this way from this area. And he said, can I meet you there tomorrow afternoon? I want to see these. So we went out in the woods and had a conversation, looked at these tree brakes. Honestly, he ruled out a large percentage of them, maybe as many as 75%. An interesting thing that happened, okay, these things were in a grouping suggesting a line. They were all headed in the same direction. They were all in this field of about 15 to 20 feet, headed in a straight line. We don't have tornadoes around here. We've had two, and it made like news everywhere. And that's in like the last 50 years. Once the arborist looked at these brakes, we narrowed a bunch out. The ones we couldn't narrow out, it became a straighter line. So that's intriguing to me. And he showed me something that I'm about to show you. So I've got two sticks here. They're about the same thickness. They're about the same dryness. They're the same tree, same kind of tree anyway. And I'm going to show you right now what he showed me. This is stick number one. And if I can't do it, I'm going to be embarrassed. But there's something crawling through the brush below me. So he took the stick, had me grab it at both ends, and said to bend it till it breaks. Okay. Do you see this break, or even when they were together? This break, I'm going to bet here, if we look at the ends, we'll find a weak spot in the wood. Okay? It's from force along the entire length of the tree or the branch or what have you. And it, generally speaking, breaks at the weak point. It's not necessarily a clean break. We've got some bark torn off. This is a good indicator of what is not Bigfoot. That is generally due to snow load, to some kind of stress, and it will break at a weak point in the tree. Then, to describe the breaks that we were looking at, he took another stick. He asked me to hold it in my hands, fist together like this, and break it. Now we've still got a little bark ripping and what have you. But this kind of break, it is nearly, I hope you can see this, I don't know where the camera's pointed. It is nearly even all the way across. It's a much different looking break. So, even on a branch a half an inch thick like this, it's harder to break it this way than this way with your hands out on the end. Oftentimes when we break sticks this way, which is with a specific location we want to break it in, you'll see people put branches on the ground, put their foot on it, and pull up. You'll see perhaps breaking it against a tree, or if it's a longer tree, pulling it around the tree to break it. When we do that, that snapping point will get damage in the bark. I'm going to try and see if I can duplicate it now. I'm stepping on the stick and breaking it up. Okay. I don't know if you can see this. But there are marks, which are rubbings in the bark, from where my shoe braced against the branch. So now I've got 3 breaks going. One of them was this break with my hands together. Is that it? The break with my hands together. This is the break with my hands together, I'm sorry. It's a nearly level break. There is some bark rippage, but there's no indicator of a bracing of that wood around it. On the other one, you'll see which end is up. I should have numbered them. Anyway, when the wood is braced, there's a bruising on the bark, which is what I was trying to illustrate there, but I took my glasses off. The thing that the arborist found amazing about the tree breaks out here, and he's been back a few times looking, and he's kind of into this, but not enough to show his face on this camera. But the thing that he noted was those trees had nowhere where anything braced it. So it's not like another tree leaned up against it. It's not like they were hit. It's not like they were pulled, like someone put something up to brace it and pulled it down. For some reason, there's no blemish on the bark. So, when looking at structures, a few months ago I did a thing on a Bigfoot universe that I had found. This was after I had been out with the arborist. And I was able to look at them and see that these breaks did not have bruising of the bark on them. And I think that that's the thing that we, as people who believe in structures, need to start looking for. We really need to start looking at what kind of break it is. Now these are both very green. I just cut this branch off. So the breaks are very similar. But I will try and find better indicators of the differences between the two breaks to show you and to put images of up. But I think that this, if we can apply this to what we find out in the woods, will bring us closer to what it is that we're looking for and what we're trying to prove. So that's today's lesson, kids. Hope you're all doing well, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one. Hey guys, here's a sidebar. So I broke that stick standing here in this spot, just to show you how sticks break. And I've left it now. Where is it? Can you see it? There we go. In a little pattern on the edge of this. This is not on the trails. I'm kind of out in the wilds here, off trail. But this is a trampled down area. So I decided, and it was trampled down before I decided to stand it and film a video. So I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I left this little glyph of sorts, and I'll come back next time I'm in the area and check it out. So, just documenting what I do. I'll talk to you guys later.